Yeah, nice, nice, nice. Oh, I need to move this up just a little bit. There we go. How's everybody doing today? Just got back from a grocery run. Move this light up for me. And let me see, my camera is more in the focus than I anticipated. And let's do this. How's the music? There's a box right behind me, and it makes it hard to wheel around just right. How's everybody doing today? This is going to be painting the tiles some more. These tiles, the Legions Imperialis, Civitas Imperialis City Road tiles is what we are painting today. This is Eagle Spire Gaming. I'm your host, Crown, and we have got a wonderful show for you today, where I'm mostly just going to paint. What did I say we're talking about today? What's on the docket for today? Oh, tactics. That's right. I didn't even figure out what button to hit to remind me. I just came up with that myself. How's everybody doing? Benjamin says he'll build some Imperialis when this comes out. When what comes out? Video? I don't know when that was posted. So that might be really old. I have no way of knowing. It's before the welcome to live chat thing. So he said that clearly before I was in here to respond or say anything or to see it. So, but it could have been as old as 24 hours ago or slightly more, maybe. I don't know. Benjamin, are you in here with us now? Nope, David's here. What's up? Not much. Got some grocery shopping done. Got a battle report to put together and post for you all. I think I finished this one before I might have finished this one. Yeah, we'll give it a little bit more. Gotta be careful with this stuff. So I've got one can of what we're doing today is Dawnstone. Please ask questions. I don't know what else to say otherwise. I get weird about talking to myself. Yeah, so we're this is my board. I am not sure how I feel about the tan parts. It looks really good on camera, I guess. It's kind of, I overdid it a little bit with the brown sometimes. And on this tile, it's not that bad. I kind of followed, what I did was I had washed these. I painted them the tan color. I then did a wash to them. I did a heavy wash, and I watered it down. So it kind of, like the pigment kind of found its way to a centralized location or whatever. And so you got these patterns that you can kind of see under here where like here it wasn't so bad, but here it was worse, and here it was thicker. And what I did is on some of these, I had the cognitive awareness to go thicker with the stippling this brown down. And that kind of, that's the look I really wanted to go for. And then if you look at some of them, I don't have an example available. Some of them, I just did it everywhere. And I was like, wait a minute, that's messed up. I don't want it like that. So now it's kind of different. I've done the roads. The roads are Eshin gray followed by a watered down black Legion contrast. And then in some areas that pooled more than I wanted it to. I'm sorry, I don't have pictures or anything to show you, but it left these like blue areas, mostly in here, but sometimes in these crevices, in these cracks and stuff. So to fix that, all I did was a very thin wash. And by that, I mean, I wasn't thick with how much I was putting onto it, but it wasn't watered down at all, of Nuln Oil, and that covered it up just fine. You can't really tell any difference. I don't see any of its the blue remnants on it, and it worked out fine. It worked out good. David, they're your tiles. I think they look fine, but if you're not happy with them, repaint them or touch them up. Painful as that is, David, you bring up a good point. They are my tiles. Who cares what other people think? Painful as that is too painful to redo these. These are a one and done. I think they look fine. It's just not really what was in my head when I set out to do them. I kind of had a different vision. and I'm having to cope with the fact that my vision isn't what's going to come. At this point, I can't get my vision to come the way I wanted it to. So I'm trying to find ways to. I'm trying to envision something different with it, so that what I get is still my vision. Um, and I'm afraid that I know what I need to do. Um, I'm just worried that it's not going to look quite the way I want it to, and I'm going to be stuck in this loophole of trying to constantly trying to get it just right. They're not bad. I think they're good. I the Where are they? The plazas. Uh, the elevated plazas, those got the worst of it because I did those first. I did all four of those first, and that ended up being they're out of reach right now. That ended up being uh, not not at all what I wanted it to be, and I don't know how those are gonna look. So I got to do something to all of them to fix those. Is what I'm worried I have to do. But this isn't bad. I think it needs a little bit. I think it needs a light wash over it. If I can do the same thing I did with the roads for these to kind of blend things in, then it'll be fine. It'll be perfect at that point. How are we all doing today? I see a bunch of people hopping in here. No one's commented that the music's too loud, so I'm guessing it's not too loud. It's a bit moody. A bit of flute with some drums going to it. Painting those tomb blades. Awesome, awesome. How you doing today? How you feeling, man? These are gonna look a lot better when I do the metal on them too. And that'll kind of bring everything together. And they look pretty good in person too. You got a bit of that shine going on, but like I really like the way you can see it here, right? You see how like these different little like segments or whatever in the road. I really like the way that that comes out. Like there's no texture here for that. These lines that you can see on camera, no texture for that. That's just how it dried. Where I put so much that's from the contrast, not from the Nolan oil. I put so much liquid down on it, and just let it dry. And I kind of sloshed it around and moved it around and stuff. That as it dried uneven, it dried unevenly, and that caused more pigment to be in some spots than others. It looks really good, in my own opinion, uh, especially for roads. Especially for roads, you wouldn't want to use that kind of technique necessarily on, say, a bunch of Tyranids or something. Uh, it kind of requires a large space to work with, but I like the way it looks. I like the way it looks here on these roads and bases. It looks good on bases too. Doing good. That's good. Good. How's everybody else? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Everyone, feel free. This is a nice, happy paint place. Uh, as Bob Ross would want. Happy accidents. Honestly, had I not messed up the way I had, I wouldn't have put the little bits of brown down on this, and it wouldn't look quite at all like it does look. So I think it does look good. I just wish I hadn't gone so hard with it on some spots. Some spots went a little hard. But after I finish everything else, I'll revisit those and I'll see how they look. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's not as bad as I'm imagining it. It was late at night when I was doing that. I've got this more. I think my friend gave me all of his paint. He said a couple years ago, actually, he gave me all of his paint. He said he was done. He was getting out of the hobby. His wife said it took up too much space, so he gave me all his paint, all his models. Um, and Sometimes I need one of those paints. The problem is for a lot of those paints, I already have all the paints I want to use. So working on assault marines, you need a break from assembling. Yeah. Epic scale or 28 millimeter. So this one is the new one. It's not new though; it's old, but it's very liquidy and runny almost. It's almost too runny. It's like there's a bunch of water in there. I don't know if he did. He might have. That might have been something he had added to it. I have no idea. Just checking. And then this one is mine, and it's gotten very thick in there, and it's all like slopped up to the side and very rock hard and not really doing much. I don't know why it dried out. I used it not too long ago. And then I can kind of combine the two and I get the right consistency. That's what I want. That right there. Where I kind of had a little bit of both on there. And that's kind of weird. I have to use 2 bottles of the same paint to get the consistency I'm going for. Now, when I do the bases, oh, here we go. Another commercial break. Let's close that. Oh, this one doesn't let you skip. I really never truly liked McDonald's commercials. They always felt so aggressive towards like eat McDonald's because I'm telling you to. I mean, it's just like a personal thing or something, I guess. Here we go. Music's back. So, tactics. Let's talk about those tactics. If anybody wants to question tactics, wants to question about tactics, or something, you want something specific, let me know. But solar auxiliary tactics. Strength of solar auxiliary. One of the strengths of solar auxiliary is incredibly long range. And that means you have to be careful with the table. Eat McDonald's because everyone else is happy eating it, so it will make you happy too. I mean, the McGriddle is a weakness of mine. I can't lie. But I don't go to McDonald's. Other people go to McDonald's, and I end up with McGriddles. I don't know how that really. How many baskets are too many? Listen, there is a hard number for that and a soft number for that. The hard number is honestly, if you have 12 of them, that can make one detachment, or it can make a whole artillery company. 3 detachments, 3 minimum detachments in an artillery company. So too many. You can max out those 3 artillery companies, and you can have 36 basilisks. Anything past that, and you would probably have, 30. You'd probably have 40 basilisks at that point because they come in units of 4, so you're not going to have 37. 40 basilisks is too many. That's you no longer have. You have 3. You have a full artillery company of 3 detachments. If you want more than 1 artillery company, split those up. But starting a 4th one, that's too many. Too many. Go with 1 artillery company, leave it at that. If you are playing massive battles, and you want to have 2 full artillery company like that, okay, maybe then, but you're already psychotic because you have, like, if you're playing like 10,000 point battles and you want to do something where it's, oh yeah, but we're not going to use Titans. We're just going to do solar auxiliary versus Marines, then maybe having that many is too many. But 36 is too many. Having anything more than 36 too many. On the other hand, anything more than 12, like 12 is a good number to have as a soft number. Like you might be getting a little bit too basilisky past 12. That's 2 boxes, like from a financial standpoint, just do 12. You could do 16 just because you would have 2 boxes worth. I like the Medusa. It's very short range, But having Barrage and Demolisher and having AP3 hitting on 4s. In fact, I've put one in my artillery company, and I still use the other 12 basilisks. I just have a unit of 6, a unit of 8, and a unit of 4. And now I got some numbers to play around with there on who's going to shoot at what. If the opponent has something that I want to hit with basilisk, but they've got first fire, I can hit them with, if I need to hit them with more basilisks, I can double it up. I can hit them with 4 basilisks. But the Medusa is nice to have 2, and then I've got that in the same unit. So yeah, the 12 is a good number. You don't need to go past 12 if you want to do really big games, because even 12 is like almost 500 or somewhere around 500 points of basilisk. It's a lot of basilisk. And the thing is, as I was about to say before you asked that question, the strength of Solar Auxiliary is they have really long-ranged weapons. The counter to that is supposed to be play with more terrain. Play with plenty of terrain so that people... How's it going, Francois? Good seeing you. If you play with enough terrain, the strength of the long-range Solar Auxiliary weapons... Thank you. I was just saying how I think it might be... Some of them I might have gone a little too hard on. But we'll look at those later. 16 is a good number. Artillery company with 1 detachment size 8. Put in some quad launchers to keep the commander company. Not a fan of the other variants. Yeah. The problem with the quad launchers is they're not going to have... They don't benefit from artillery. They don't benefit from the artillery benefit. The other variant is harder to use effectively. So I get that, like you're kind of handicapping yourself with that. You could just go for the sure thing and take the basilisk. I just don't think it's a terrible weapon. It's just so yeah. If you play with enough terrain, the long range of Solar Auxiliary gets diluted a bit. It's not as huge of a benefit. A basilisk in an artillery company or with a spotter, they don't care. So if you have too many of them, you're just really leaning into that strength of the Solar Auxiliary, and you're just going to have a whole bunch of AP2 shots hitting on 4 up at anywhere in the board. Shadow Swords are really nice, especially if your opponent is bringing multi-wound tanks, multi-wound vehicles. Shadow Swords are really nice. So what you should do is you play with Shadow Swords. People don't like Predators. They're not as good as the other multi-wound takes. Well, if you play with Shadow Swords enough, people will realize that a Predator, you only lose one wound model when you get hit with a Shadow Sword. If you play with a Kratos, you lose a 2 wound model. And if you play with one of the bigger tanks, you lose a 3 wound model. So maybe then play enough Shadow Swords, maybe your opponents will bring more Predators. "16 artillery company with 1 detachment size 8, 12 launchers. Company, not the other variant yet." I think the other option is, another viable option is, it just becomes a lot of points and it becomes a lot of cost too, right? Like, I can only justify so many boxes of something before it's like, oh, I could also use this money for something else. And trying to have 3 units of 8 basilisks is just a lot of basilisks. 4 unit for the threat, great for area now. They do quite well. Morning from Oz. Morning, Roy. My favorite pirate. I do like me some Shadow Swords. I need another box to make formation, which you will not be getting. What's the formation? Oh, are you talking about getting 3? Just having 3? Shadow Swords. Did they fold Aeronautica into Legion Imperialis? They stopped doing Aeronautica. It wasn't getting enough sales. So technically, yes, they folded it into Legion Imperialis. But I don't know if it's accurate to say they folded it because they also just cut, Orcs, Tau, and Eldar. I think those were the only three factions, right? And then Valkyries don't exist in Legions, but they should. I think they should. I think they should just do it. It'd be a little bit more expensive than a. It'd be more expensive than an Auxilia, but it would have some guns to it. I'd even accept it if it was like, oh yeah, it's transport one, and it has guns, so you need 4 of them just to carry 4 people. Although that may not be really good because maybe not do that. Maybe keep it at a higher number capabilities. Xiphon fighters are a thing. Yeah, you can do that. Those are for Space Marines have those. So strength of legions of solar is incredible long range. Also, they have high armor save. So you don't want to be playing a game on a planet bowling alley, right? Because then whoever outranges the other person is just going to win, right? But at the same time, if you just say, "Oh yeah, no, we're doing cramped, absolutely tight buildings, packed, cover packed wall to wall, and those long range tanks, they're not going to get to shoot more than 20 inches." If you do that, you're basically telling the other player, like, "Hey, you're not allowed to have nice things. Your guns have long range? No, they don't. We're playing night fighting rules every time, where everybody has the same range of 20 inches, right? That's not good either. So it's a bit when you're designing your table to play on, it's tricky because you need to have some long range sections, and you need to have sections that long range can function, and you need options for players to move slower around those sections to avoid the long range fighters, right? There needs to be that long range duel. You gotta give everybody their chance to do something. You don't want the entire table to be completely open without any terrain, that blocks line of sight. But at the same time, you don't want the table to be completely blocked. You gotta find a nice balance there. I do not understand. I think they look nice. There are these. They look like tie downs to me. These little things. I don't know if we're gonna be able to show that. No, it's too dark up here. See that little thing in the middle of the gray of the sidewalk there? It was right here. Looks like a tie down to me. I don't know why. Why do they have random tie downs every couple of squares on the sidewalk? They're evenly spaced too. Like maybe there's something else that they. Maybe it's not a tie down. Maybe it's something I don't understand. Well, maybe it's their version of a fire hydrant. I don't know. But it looks like a tie down to me. What you have on a runway, what a runway will look like is, runway looks like it's smooth flat. Well, the runway is. The tarmac that the aircraft park on will look like it's smooth and flat and everything, but it's actually, a bunch of cement, and each one of them will have a tie down in the middle of it. I think in the middle of it, maybe they have more tie downs, but I know there's a tie down in there. and they use that to tie down the aircraft in inclement weather. You always build the table, then let your opponent choose their board edge. Forces you to dress balanced tables. Yes, we always we always end up just like I'm taking this side and you're taking like the side that we kind of like. We kind of have a side that we usually are on, and it just never changes. But yeah, I try to make the table so that I could be on either side, and then I end up. We always end up picking the same sides anyway, though. Like people have that like spot in their mind that like that's what they want to do. In Grim Darkness of the Far Future, there's only tie downs. A lot of tie downs. It's not enough tie downs to really do anything. That's the thing, though, right? Like that's what I'm saying. It's not enough tie downs to tie anything down unless it's like here, and you're tying it to here, 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 and here. Like those are far apart. Which I guess if you've got a Thunderhawk, I guess you could tie the Thunderhawk down. And you wouldn't be tying it down to like that's not like some way to like stop the enemy from that's not like good, they're in hover mode. Go tie them down real quick. It's to stop the aircraft from like getting knocked over in the wind. Yeah, we tried to build the table together. Try to come up with like cool ideas and stuff, and like, oh, this will look good. And then we, I don't, you might have noticed it. There was the last battle I did at Rules of Engagement against John. There was this wall section, and we crumbled it, right? We put a piece there that was ruined, looked like crumble wall, and then there was a building inside. So if this is the wall here, there's a building here that was destroyed, and then there was a building here that was like partially destroyed. So it looked like this beam came through, orbital cannon or something came through this way, took out the wall, destroyed the building, and then did slightly less damage to the next building. And as we were building it, he was like, "Oh, what if we do this?" So like we were purposely positioning that stuff to try to fit to that idea of like this is where that shot came from. That's actually where the entire concept for that game came from. The way we started putting those three pieces down, we then were like, oh yeah, the narrative built into this like, oh yeah, we're attacking the wall. We're attacking the wall. We're trying to get into the building, into the city, and in this section, this is where we have killed the wall, and we took out the next few buildings in, unintentionally or otherwise, collateral damage or otherwise. But yeah. So now there's a couple of things. I really like all of the solar auxiliary tanks. For the most part, there's like one exception. There's only one tank in their lineup that I would not take, and that is I'll give you guys a second to guess what it is. The only way I could ever see myself taking it is if I was playing a very large narrative game where there's going to be buildings galore, infantry galore, and lots of things for this tank to potentially bring down. Because a super heavy tank with Demolisher that only has one, maybe two shots now. I don't think they changed it. Yeah, one shot. And the big benefit of paying 100 points for this single shot is that Well, it's got a 30-inch range. It's Demolisher on a 30-inch range gun instead of your usual 12-inch gun or 14-inch gun. That is not worth a lot to me. That is bad. However, now I like the Neutron Malkador, the Valdor. It's the Storm Sword. However, if I was playing a really big game where I've got extra points to mess around and like to take some fun options or whatever, and in a really big game, I would hope that my opponent is bringing a plethora of infantry where I can then fire a shot long range, take down a building, and next turn I can come in and I can fly some infantry in or infiltrate. Maybe I've taken allies. I can get my guys into that area to take board control, take the objective, take something like that. I would spend a couple hundred points on some storm swords to do that, to have that as an option. But in an average game, it's just not going to come up. It's not going to matter. I don't want to be dealing with that. So I give it, it has, its niche is too niche. Its thing that it does is just too specific of a situation for me to ever think that's it's not a good tank. It needs another shot. If it had a second shot, that'd be worth it. I'd trade all of its las cannon shots. And maybe even the heavy bolter shots. The heavy bolter shots would allow it to do something while it moved up, though. I'd trade that for another shot with the big cannon, the siege gun, the siege cannon. But otherwise, just not a good tank. Everything else has a place. Don't get me wrong. The Valdor Malkador, it's called the Valdor Tank Destroyer. It's a Malkador variant, so I want to call it a Valdor, just as you did. It is not in a good place compared to Space Marine. Space Marine neutron pulse guns, shock pulse guns are better, right? They've got more shots, they've got more range, they're maybe a little more expensive for the cost. But it is a good gun. It does provide an ability that the rest of the faction doesn't have. So you got to give it credit for that. And considering its secondary gun is nothing really, an autocannon or a las cannon shot isn't really that special, isn't really that useful. A single shot hitting on a 4-up that your opponent is probably going to save, just not that great. We're taking it for the neutron laser, right? So if you get shock pulse, but you can shock pulse your opponent, you'll still be able to shock pulse your opponent because you're not losing your main gun, and you'll still be able to and that's all you do is you shock pulse. You shoot something with that neutron laser. So what's the Cerebus got? It's got the 3 shots at 24 inches, so it's got a little bit more range, and it's got definitely a higher chance to hit. That's really nice. It also has 2 wounds and a 2-up save. I really don't like that thing. That thing is just so much better. Never mind. I have nothing nice to say about it. I have nothing nice to say about this comparison. It's just a terrible comparison. One is clearly superior. I tried to give the Valdor a fair shot, but no, the Cerebus is just superior in every way. Infernus is nice. Just drive up and burn a building, which I think Space Marines have a super heavy that can do that also now. It's not bad. It's just bad compared to other things that do what it does. But those things are in a different faction, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, and it comes with the Infernus, so you're gonna have some, probably. You should probably have some. Oh, too much paint on the brush. Too much paint on this brush will absolutely ruin what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I wish they were better. A second shot would be nice. I think that's really all you can do for it is give it a second shot. Even if they felt like it needed to balance it, it needs a little bit higher point cost. Because what's the Valdor cost? The Valdor cost 60 points. That's not bad. That's quite a few points cheaper. I think it's 25 points cheaper than the Cerebus. It is 25 points cheaper than the Cerebus. So that's good. The Cerebus gets 3 shots. So if you said, make it 10 more points, but it gets a second shot, I'd be fine with that. But then the Cerebus is one option. You've also got the Fellblade, I believe. No, the Falchion also has shock balls. It only has 2 shots, but it is 130 points. So it's more than double the cost. So for the same number of points, you can get a second neutron wave cannon. But it does have a further range. And it also can have it can have 2 shots with his las cannons. So it's got, it's essentially 10 points more than just having 2. So there's that. And it can have a multi-melta. Still has a 2 of save and has a 1 wound more than 1 and 1 wound less than 2. So I think they can afford. I think it would still be balanced if they gave it another. If they gave it another shot, the Valdor would be fine. I don't think it needs more range. Yeah, it just needs an extra shot. Maybe make it cost a little bit more too. I'd pay 10 more points for a second shot. Would you? It doesn't look like much, but when it's at the table, this little bit of edge highlighting really goes a long ways towards making the sidewalks pop. And then I'll of course be doing the metal things. And I guess I'll do the tie downs like they're tie downs. Another shot, just like your most hated tank. Don't the Marines get a light vehicle with nimble and a neutron pulse? Yes. So Marines get 3 neutron pulses. And the third one that we haven't talked about yet is the Scimitar. Nope, not the Scimitar. Saber. I knew it. I knew it was a sword that started with an S. And it doesn't come with it. It is an option. It could come with a different gun. It's not a guarantee just because someone says they have sabers. It doesn't mean that they have the Ambulus autocannon, but they probably don't have the Ambulus autocannon. That neutron blaster is a 12-inch gun. It still hits on force, and it still has AP3, and it still has shock balls. And for 120 points, you get 4 of them. It's a 4-up save tank, which is kind of, soft, very soft, very easy to kill. Shoot your own shock pulse at it, and you aren't getting an armor save. They're 1 wound, so it's just gone. They have 11-inch range. And they also have the missiles. So these things are supposed to get up behind the enemy and shoot into their backs. You can also have a multi-melta, hull-mounted multi-melta, or heavy bolters, which it comes with. Those aren't upgrades. It comes with one or the other. I don't know how I would fit those out because they're very quick. So maybe the heavy bolter to deal with infantry, because you're going to be moving into enemy territory, or maybe the multi melter because you're going to be, you're able to get up close. But it does only hit that multi melter only hits on 5, so maybe not. You can take the heavy bolter. But if you get within half the range, of these guys, you have double the shots for the same price. So there's that. Yeah, I've never seen one used. Never seen it used. Never seen it played yet. One day I'll have my own. One day I'll get to the Space Marines, and then we will be able to see how they work. Yeah, it's not bad. It's quick, right? Like, I'd still see, if you compared that to the other ones, I'd still take those from time to time because of how quick they are. They get where I want them to be. And they have a volume of shots. They have a larger volume of shots. I think 2 shots is the answer here. I think 2 shots is also the answer to the Storm Sword. All of our problems are solved with 2 shots. Now, we could talk more about like infantry. Solar Auxiliary has good infantry for the fact that Ogryn and Velatari are good in melee. They're definitely good in melee against Space Marines because Space Marines are average at everything. They're not as good in melee against some of the Mechanicum stuff. Some of the Mechanicum stuff can really beat them up, and Velatari and Ogryn are quite easy to kill on their way into melee. So, but if you take enough of them, something's getting through, right? Ogryn are fantastic. I would like more Ogryn. So the challenge with them is getting them to melee, getting them up the board. Velatari can infiltrate, but then they can't charge on the turn that they infiltrate on the first turn. Whereas, say, Assault Marines could charge on the first turn out of the Thunderhawk, or Terminators could charge on the first turn out of any number of transports. Like, you're kind of caught out in the open for a turn is what I'm getting at here. The enemy has a chance to react. Same is true for Ogryn and Velatari getting out of a Dracosan, or Velatari getting out of an Argus Lighter. Yes, you can put them wherever you want on the board, but there's going to be a chance to react. Like, your opponent has a turn to react to 10 inches away. Or they have a turn to react to where you are when you transport up the board, which is the only way to get like 23 inches somewhere. Significantly more with the Harvest Lighter, but on the other hand, if they're on foot, it's 10 inches, right? So once you drop them off, you have a 10-inch bump to stay. Can't remember if you said it, but what chapters will you range for? Ooh, give me a second. Let me finish this stuff. Space Marines, on the other hand, they have all these assault options and everything. Then you have Mechanicum. Mechanicum is pretty good at melee, which is good because Mechanicum doesn't have a lot of long range anything, right? Their longest range guns outside of Titans and Knights. If you were to say, oh, I only have these things and I don't have Titans because, whatever reason, you can very easily have Titans, but for whatever reason, you've decided not to play Titans with your Mechanicum or your Dark Mechanicum. Your longest range gun is a Crackness with 30 inches. 38-inch threat range because you can move it up more. It's good. It's comparable to a Basilisk. However, there's differences in it which might make you say that you want them for slightly different things, right? Uh, the also like their best battle tank, really. Uh, they're good in melee. All of their units are okay in melee, and then they've got some units that are just really good in melee. And if the Ogren aren't charging, if they aren't charging and they're not in base to base with one another, then you can really mess up. You can really, start to chip away at how good they are in melee. And now they're up against something else that has a much better path. But it is more expensive. But even if you do beat them, well, they also have 2 wounds. Like Ogren have 2 wounds, and they're expensive for that. Uh, Automata have 2 wounds, and they're expensive for that. So if you look at the Arlatax, it's got a +6 path. It doesn't have Rend though, but Rend is like equivalent to a 3.5 on a die or something. And if you charge, your cap is 7, and the Ogrens are potentially a 3 on their calf. So, that's a 4-point swing. Like, Artifacts can mess up some Ogren in melee like that, especially if you throw in some zombies just to even out the numbers a bit. Castellex are not that good. I mean, they've got a +4, so they're still good in melee, but they don't have, they're not as fast or anything. And then you've got the Myrmidon Secutors, which also have a cap of 6. And you have the Ursarex cohort, which have a cap of 3 and Rend. So they're a 4 on the charge and a 5 if they're charging buildings. And they are 30 points for 2 of them. So you get 4 of them for 55 points, which is cheaper than Ogrens. And they're faster. So, Solar, really good at melee against Marines. Against Mechanicum, there's better stuff. There's better stuff. There's nasty stuff if you play them right. So my chapters are going to be, I want to do Imperial Fist as like a large army and have a small army, a smaller formation or 2 of I want to do like a whole army of Imperial Fist with a formation or 2 of Blood Angels and White Scars to create the Siege of Terra. But then I also want to have like just a minimum detachment of Space Wolves. I really like wolves. And I'm going to make that for my Loyalist side. I don't have to, but I choose to make Loyalist and Trader for everything so that I can, Star and Crayola and Zilla can play against me. So I'll have, for the Trader side, I'll have, again, I want to go Siege of Terra, which kind of had everybody there, but I want to do the big 4. Just a minimum size of Emperor's Children, some maybe another minimum size Thousand Suns. I don't know exactly. I've got ideas on how I want to do them. World Eaters, of course, and then the last one is Death Guard. And I might have those all spread out more evenly as opposed to my Loyalist, which will be heavily Imperial Fist. I might do some Sons of Horus or some Iron Warriors, just to have like a larger, more cohesive force. I'm not exactly sure. Honestly, so many of them look so fun to paint, and that makes it really hard for me to choose which one I want to have for everything. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. I do want to look at their. I want to look at the different Legion traits and fiddle around with how I want to do that. But aside from that, I'm thinking that maybe at some point something changes. Maybe we get different formations of legend, and that'll change what I decide. But for right now, kind of what I want to do. So solar, really good long range. Mechanicum. Oh, here. Well, before we do that, what I like about Marines is their wide range of transports. They can bring a lot of force to a small point. It really makes them feel like elite troops. Yes, it does. And that's really what makes Space Marines. I think is ability to you know their ability to execute a strike on a specific point. You don't use them to win a war. You don't use them to fight the war. You use them to win the war by fighting the battle. And the battle, the war is the table. The battle is the specific pinpoint. That's where the opponent is focused. Oh, Night Lords. I kind of really want to do Night Lords. I think the challenge of painting. I think the difficulty level of painting the little lightning bolts on everything, and if you get it right, I think would just make them look so cool. Uh, it's a pity none of them were loyalists because I would be very tempted. I'm on the fence about how to paint the Emperor's Children, but I want to, do I do white or black for their shoulder pads? I know that one is loyalist and the other. I know white is loyalist and black is traitor, but I think like they both just look so good. Both options look good for their own reasons. Uh, for the World Eaters, I definitely want to do them in the white and blue. I just think that that's a very cool color scheme, and just painting them all red with like what gold or bronze just doesn't seem appealing to me. I could see myself at this scale. I don't know if it's possible to just flick some red on them and be like, "Look, it's blood." But I could see myself doing that. Uh, no real desire to do Ultramarines. Um, Ultramarine Guard, Raven Guard, and not Iron Warriors, Iron Hands. Their paint schemes are just too similar. Ultramarines, I just don't. They're so far out of the war zone that I just don't. They're so far out of most of the war that I just don't care. Ward Bearers, I think, are an interesting enough color scheme that I kind of would want to do them, but like as a personality, they have none. I just don't care for them. Um, what else? By the way, for at some point, if anybody new is watching this, do hit the thumbs up, do subscribe. I appreciate you viewing this. If you enjoy content like this, if you like watching me paint, or the battle reports, mostly the battle reports. Come to watch me paint, stay for the battle reports. Uh, Salamanders could be fun to paint. Green. I don't think I have a green army at all. I have a blue, I have a tan, I have a yellow, black, white. And then that's the large scale. I have a black and blue. I have a dark red. I have a bone. I have a red and hornet striped. I don't think I have any green models at all. I use green on like screens and stuff, but I really don't paint a lot of green. So salamanders could be fun. Dark angels, I think the black and the red looks really cool. I could see myself doing that. They also look very similar to Raven Guard and Iron Hands, but I think their scheme, I think their Horse Heresy scheme is a lot cooler than the scheme of the other two. So I think they did black best. Who else? Iron Warriors could be fun to paint. If I do when I do Thousand Suns, it'd be that red color. I like their red and gold scheme. I like their red and gold scheme. I don't like the World Eaters red and gold scheme. Also, why did they switch? I'm not interested in painting Alpha Legion. I think it looks good. I think it looks good. None of these are anything where I think if you're painting them and I'm not. I've got no. I don't think they're bad. I just don't think they're what I want to paint. Am I missing anybody? Space Wolves, I like the idea of them. White Scars, Blood Angels, Burial Fist, Ultramarines, Salamanders, Dark Angels, Raven Guard, Iron Warriors. All right, so I said all of them, and then Alpha Legion, Iron. I think it just said Iron Hands, not Iron Warriors. I'm gonna say Iron Hands. Iron Warriors. I do Iron Warriors. Horse, Sons of Horse. I kind of do them. Thousand Sons. I do them. Emperor's Children. I do them. World Eaters. I do them. Night Lords. I do them. Death Guard. I do them. Who's the last one? Oh, War Bears. Minor idea on doing them. Yeah, painting Alpha Legion is just painting anybody else and being like, oh, look, it's Alpha Legion. I don't like the. I like the paint one chapter and then have it shifting into Alpha Legion, like it's the camo cloak going on or whatever. I like it in small quantities. I don't like it as like, hey, my entire army, because it's too much. It's too much. I like it onesies and twosies. I don't like the entire squad. Because realistically, what you should have at that point is you should have half your army painted Dark Angels and the other half painted Alpha Legion, and then a third half, so scratch half and make it thirds, should be painted as the two, as switching from one to the other. And obviously, I would never do that at this scale. Or would I? No, it's too small. You know, little guy. It's sitting up there for a minute now, building up dust. There's not enough paint. Okay, so I was saying something. So solar auxiliary, long range tanks, touch anything. Mechanicum, short range, get up close, but not really that fast. Some of their stuff is fast. Some of their stuff is very slow. Making a table where both of those things get to do their thing, I do not have enough terrain for that. Because really what I need clumps of stuff. And I kind of have everything spread out. And it kind of doesn't work at the scale that I'm doing right now. So I feel kind of bad. I might have done a bit more damage than I was expecting. But I guess that's the goal. The goal for the current game set of games that I'm doing was I need to do a lot better than them as they get closer and closer to me. How's everybody doing? You got any new faces in here? What's everybody working on? I know what David and I think Francois said that Francois, what are you working on? James is working on two blades. Roy popped in real quick and I haven't heard from him since. I don't know if Benjamin ever showed up to start painting, to start working on whatever he was going to build. No, I've lost tanks. I've lost quite a few tanks. I did not lose a lot of infantry in this last match. In game 2, didn't lose a lot of infantry, which means my transports don't have a lot of infantry to bring back to the front lines. I did lose a bunch of rapiers, though, which I don't have enough of those. I need more of them, if we're being honest. I lost a couple of tanks, and I lost some wounds on some Titans. I didn't. Game 2. Game 2, I lost a bunch of wounds and a couple of tanks, and some more wounds on some other tanks. I didn't lose too much. So I am sitting. I think I'm within 100. I think I'm within 1,000 points of the traders. We were gonna start filming game 3 today. Awesome. Thank you, Wolfenstein, for the. Thank you for noticing the roads. Oh, another commercial. I'm gonna close that. Oh, it's a recruiting ad. These ads are not tailored to the right people. I cannot join. I cannot join again. I've already served. I've already done my time. We were about to start filming when I had to pull him aside and be like, listen, the deployment zone has moved closer and closer each game. You can't keep deploying in this back line. Your stuff is very short range. Take advantage of being closer and deploy closer. So there might have been some confusion to that. I think they were just setting up whatever was easiest, and I was like, no, guys, I have to intervene here. Please deploy closer. If you keep deploying in the back, if you keep deploying at the end of the table, my basilisks are going to do really bad damage to you. That tank is never going to get to fire. They've already like the first 2 games, they did not get to fire very much stuff. And I kind of need them to fire more stuff in game 3. Saturday I had a great paint. Getting bored of painting all these buildings. Ooh, hey, evil cuz. Yeah, it's a lot of paint. A lot of buildings. I have not painted my buildings yet. We're starting with the tiles. For anyone who is not aware, the weather here is very muggy, very hot, very humid. Not conducive for me to prime anything. I don't have spray. I don't have paint on primer. Not that I would want to use it on any of a project as large scaled as this. So we are working on what we've got, and that is these tiles. And it's good that we got these tiles. These tiles take up a lot of time, so it's okay that we have so much time to do only them because it'll all work out in the end. How'd everybody like that first battle? Who's watched the first battle? Show of hands. I like that the Saturnine came with that. They had that battle group that they came with, the Saturnine battle group, and it came with 2 boxes of Saturnine, so you could really load up on Saturnine with that. You know, it wasn't like a hey, here's the Terminator battle group, and it's only got 4 Terminators in it, and everything else is just things that like oh yeah, these are nice with Terminators. That being said, I don't know how well everything else in that group works. Thank you for watching most of it. I don't know how everything else in that battle group works. The Mastodons, I know people are very excited about those and have been using them. My opponent hasn't had too much luck with them. I don't know about the Fire Raptors. I know they don't compare so well to Marauders necessarily. Marauders are a little undercosted for what they do, for how much they bring to the table. I tell you, my Marauders, I have not been playing to the fullest of their ability in this in the battle for pendants, and part of that is because I'm trying to conserve them and keep them around for 3 battles. So that means that what I'm really doing is I'm not using them for most of the battle. I don't think I used them at all for game 1. I think I tried to like shoot their heavy bolters. Game 2, I used them. You'll see how that plays out for me. I'll have that posted Thursday. For reals this time. Sorry. These games take a little bit longer than a normal game to play. When you play with 17,000 points. I know I called it a 16,000 point battle. I realized it was actually 17,000 points. I did not know that. I think I did the math wrong, and I had the traders clocked in at 1670 or 1680, and they're really sitting at 16,500 or something, 16,500 plus. So I thought I had a significant lead over them. I do not. I have a minor lead at best. And at this point, I am trailing. They are, let's see, 6. They're probably like 9. They're probably like 5 or so hundred points above me. Somewhere between 500 and 1,000 points above me. I don't know how to calculate the partial point wounds and stuff. Evil, if I may ask, what stopped you from watching all of it? Was it just time constraint, or was like did it get boring? Like, let me do some do some research, data research. What stopped you from watching all of it? Just time? You can be honest. Grand time. Okay. If there was something where it's like, oh yeah, at this point in the game, it just kind of gets boring to watch. Uh, I'd want to know about that, so I stopped filming that part. I think partway through the battle, it is a longer battle. I think I switched how I was filming it too partway through. I think they're getting ready. They're going out this weekend. They're gonna go to a race somewhere. Another tank I'm not too happy with is the battle cannon, which isn't really the tank so much as the weapon. The Malvador battle cannon and the Lehman Russ battle cannon. Just not a good tank, not a good weapon. It's a little bit cheaper than the alternatives, but it's like, like most of the time, you're probably just going to pay the extra points to take a better. Most of the time, you probably take. Hey, buddy, what's up? Stay out of the camera. I love you. I don't want people seeing your faces. Hey, buddy.
Yes, go in the camera.
Okay, go in the camera. You're just gonna pat my shoulder. All right, love you. Slowly but surely, we're getting to the end of these. I got 6 more after I finish this one. Some of them are harder to do than others, though. They have more space for different parts. Like this one had the least space for this, but it's got the most space for this and the road. What's up?
I want to say hi.
You want to say hi? You can say hi to people. Say hi. Just don't come in the camera. No, don't come in the camera. Don't grab his neck. It's exactly why I don't want you guys in the camera, so that you guys don't fight. Oh, yeah, in a bit. Yeah, 3? Okay. Hello. Oh, I'll tell him that you said hello. They're not as receptive to the crowds as Star is. Star. I'm thinking Star's going to live up to her name and be a star. So, yeah, the battle cannon cheaper, but it just doesn't bring anything, and it's not cheap enough to be worth the handicap. Like you're not getting double the tanks, you're not getting more shots with them, and you have to really go down in value you have to go down in cost a lot to make it worth the taking over a better gun. And it's not even cheaper. It's cheaper than the Vanquisher cannon, but it's not cheaper than the Executioner or the Exterminator, which do a better job against infantry and do as good a job against tanks, albeit with a shorter range. The Annihilator, on the other hand, does cost 10 points more and is good. And then the Vanquisher, 5 more points, you get a shot that's even longer range and even better against vehicles. So it's going to be hard to give a discount that will would make you say, "Oh, I'm going to take this instead of that." Especially at this scale of game. Where 160 points is still 4 tanks. 175 points is still 4 tanks. So you're not paying 15 points more for the better tank. You're paying 15 points more for 4 better tanks. So that ends up being like 3.33 points more per better tank. It's kind of hard to justify that, especially with how much better it is. It's like 50% better against vehicles. And again, I think no, wait. For that one, the answer isn't it needs an extra shot. The answer is actually that it needs an extra AP. The extra pip of AP would mean that the difference between the battle cannon and the Russ is just not a great of a tank since the Liver came out. It's a good tank. What's wrong with it? Why do you say it's not a good tank? What changed in the Liver? I think the only thing that changed is the points values. I agree. At last, you made all your Russes before you knew the rules. A squadron of 10 armed with battle cannon makes you sad. Yeah, you can't even have 10 in a squadron. Or wait, can you? I think it goes up to 12. Oh, you can have 10 in a squadron. I thought it was. Wasn't looking at that right. Yeah, that is a sad squadron. Primarchs for Legions Imperialis. Okay, so I have seen. Gather around. Story time. Grab your friends and tell them about this. Tell them I said this. I have seen talk on the internets, on chat boards and the like about Primarchs in Legions Imperialis. And people seem to think that the reason we won't get Primarchs in Legions Imperialis is because it'd be too hard to do their rules. I think it'd be easy to do their rules. I think they'd be beefier than regular Space Marines, obviously. They'd probably have 2, maybe even 3 wounds. And they'd be better in melee. They'd still be killable through your normal mean. Having 3 wounds, maybe having an invuln save of 5 up instead of 6 up. Maybe having high calf would make them harder to kill but they're not going to have they'd probably have a 6 calf, and some of them might have rend, right? I don't think they become unkillable doing that. They become harder to kill. The way to stop them from dying is to have a bunch of infantry with them. And I think they would have to have some rule that says that all the wounds to them go to that infantry unit first, so that you can't shield. You can't use them to. You can't use them to make to hide. All your wounds behind shots. You can't use them to soak up the shots, right? They'd only have a 4 up armor save. They wouldn't have a 3 up armor save. or maybe they would have a 3-up. Maybe they'd be the only infantry to have a 3-up armor save. Because, and then you cost them, they cost like 100 points or something, right? And what you create is, yes, it's a unit that's going to be better in melee than anything else is in melee. But in order for me to be better, it wouldn't be better than Titans necessarily, though. But in order for me to beat anything in melee, I just have to put enough things around you. Yes, they'd be harder to kill in shooting than other things. But in order for me to kill anything in shooting, I just need more shots. Or I ignore you because you are one guy. You know, I kill everything else and you're one guy. The challenge with Primarchs is not rules. And then I think you could even make it be like, instead of each Primarch having like specific rules, you know, they don't need to each have their own thing that they do. They probably just have an aura, you know, a generic aura that all Primarchs have that make the Marines around them better. And they all do it the same way, something like that, maybe. Maybe you have slight variations, like, okay, well, you know, Conrad has jetpacks, right? And he has lightning claws. So, you know, he's a melee guy, so maybe he has a better melee. Maybe you've got some of them that have better melee. Maybe you've got some of them that have better um better shooting. Maybe you've got some of them that have a better movement. But I think at the end, their Primarch rule is just going to be Primarch. You could do it that way. I think that'd be fine. The thing is, we're not going to get what's going to stop us from getting Primarchs? Thank you, Kaiser. What's going to stop us from getting Primarchs is, how do you make the model? Because the challenge is going to be any kit that GW makes, they want to sell it. They want you to buy it multiple times. If everybody in the hobby, and this is a niche of a niche, the hobby is a niche as it is, Legions Imperialis is a niche within that niche. They don't want you to buy one infantry kit. They want you to buy 2. They want you to buy 3. They want you to have a reason to keep buying it. And a box that you are only going to buy, a Primarch is a box you're only going to buy once. And it's not how much is in the box that makes it cost money. It's the fact that it's a mold. The fact that it's a mold at all. Now they could do it. They could decide that it's there. You know, if the game gets big enough, they may decide, hey, just do it anyway. We're not going to make a huge amount of money on this, but we're going to make fans happy. They could decide to do it to make fans happy, right? And what they'd probably do at that point is say, all right, there's a trader box and a loyalist box, and you buy one and it comes with 9 people. Maybe some people will buy 2, buy one of each. Nobody's going to buy 2 boxes though, because one box is not. I mean, you know, the problem is, if I only have 1 legion, 1 box is enough for me and 8 of my friends. So they'll probably lose money doing it that way, but it's a way to do it. And what they'll probably do is they'll probably actually mold it as 1 sprue and then just separate it before they put it into boxes to sell. Because the aftermarket is going to be, you know, there's going to be people buying that thing, buying the box. They sell the box for $50. There's going to be people that buy that box for $50, and then they sell each individual guy for $10. They make a profit doing that. You save a bunch of money because you only got the 1 guy that you needed, and that means that GW just sold 1 box when they should have sold 9. You know, in their mind, whether it's morally right or wrong, that's not what this is about. This is about the economics of it, right? It's the economics that's going to stop it. So, you know, if it's morally incorrect for them to do something, I'm not arguing for that view. I'm just stating what the position is, what the situation is, right? So the game would have to be successful enough for them to decide to do that. Because if there's only, if there's 1,000 people, I have no idea how many people play this game. Let's say that there's 100,000 people that play this game. That might be too many. Let's say there's 10,000 people that play this game. GW may say, hey, we need sales to be, for any individual box, to be 20,000 for us to be, for this game to be something that we continue doing. There's only 10,000 people. They'll keep doing it. People will keep doing it just to, they'll keep making the game because people are, even though there's only 10,000 people playing, collecting, some of them are buying multiple boxes. Draxons and super heavies, even the Malkador is better now. Yeah, they're better, but for points. I'm gonna come back to the next question. 175, okay, for 4 tanks versus the Malkador Vanquisher is 160. But and you do get a lot of guns with that, but you don't get you're only getting 2 of the main gun, and the main gun's the thing you're paying for. So I think they're appropriately done. Draxons are like 30 something points, and it's only las cannon. It's harder to kill than the Layman Rust, but it's not doing the damage the Layman Rust does. And the Layman Rust is only a little bit more expensive. The super heavies are really, they're really durable and tough, and that's where we get a lot of value. But I don't think the Layman Rust is bad though. You can't take as many Malkadors for that long range Vanquisher shot as you can Layman Russes. You get more of the good gun. You may not want to load up on Layman Russes. You should probably get some Malkadors in there. But like, it's a good trade. I think they're both viable. All the collectors and painters would buy Primarch parts that wouldn't be just for normal LI. Not all the collectors and painters, because there's only the people that are collecting and painting Legions Imperialis, which there are people collecting and painting Legions Imperialis just to, that aren't players. But there's probably I don't have the ability to get that information. I have no idea what the stats are like for that, but it's it's probably not as many people. It's probably safe to say that there's more people painting and collecting Warhammer 40K than there are people painting and collecting Legions Imperialis, right? Like, so yes, they add to the number, but only so much. And GW has to think of that. Like, even the people painting and collecting Legions Imperialis, they'll buy more than one of an infantry box. I don't want this one with music. Yes. Oh, that's members only. That's ridiculous. Here, let's just do this one. I didn't know such a thing existed. Yeah, like, more people are going to buy the box than just the people playing the game. But they're not going to, they're never going to sell. It's not going to sell as many. Or at least they wouldn't expect it to sell as many as an infantry box. Your core boxes that you need more. Think of a Primarch in 40K. Guilliman costs like $100 and something. He's not that much more intricate. He's not that much more expensive for them to make than a box of 10 Space Marines, right? But if you play Space Marines, you're only going to get one Guilliman. Some people might get more Gullimans because they want a kit bash, but the majority of people are only going to get one Guilliman. And not even the majority of people, right? Some people who play Space Marines, they're not getting Guilliman because they want Layman Russ. well, not Lemon Russ. They want Lionel Johnson. Some people are playing Space Marines. They don't want either of those. They want Lemon Russ when he eventually comes out. They want Vulcan. So things like that cost more. Models that they are only going to sell, but so many of, cost more for the simple fact that they know they're not going to sell as many. I would love to see Primarchs in the game. As I said, I think it's very viable for them to put them in this game. I think you ignore the fact that some of them died early on and were only present in one actual battle. By some, I mean one. You ignore that some didn't do anything the entire time, and some did much more. And that's true for the legions themselves. And you just make them. I think it's just going to be a challenge to have them. I think it's a challenge for them. How do they do the box? How do they sell it? Because some people aren't going to buy it anyway because they've already 3D printed it. Some of those people will buy one anyway, but not everybody. Actually, that reminds me. I saw online tiny little wolves, and I think those would go really good on bases for space wolves. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, it's just my take on it. You still here? I might have spent too long explaining that. My take on that. Hot take. I've got 4 more tiles to do after this one. I've thought about doing blast markers on these guys. Like not blast markers, but painting blast marks on these, and I don't think I'm going to because I think what I'll do is instead scatter terrain. Because blast marks would be covered up by the buildings and stuff. You have a blast mark there, and now it's covered by a building. You might be wondering, why is this sitting on my table? It's because I kept knocking. I knocked this thing over so many times in my last game, and every time I knocked it over, that came off. Didn't come off. It broke off. Completely broke. It was awful. Now if they do Primarchs, I need 1, 2, 3. I might get Lemon Rush just because, but I need 3 loyalists and 1, 2, 4. Might do I think I'd do four traders. Melt it to the building with a lighter, then it won't come on there. Well, the glue was supposed to melt it. The glue was supposed to have melted it anyway. I think part of the problem is the thing isn't like flat on there. Like the base of this guy isn't flat, so it doesn't like. There's a tiny little gap there, right there. It's not flat, so it's not held on by enough spot. But yeah, I probably do need to melt it. If it breaks off again, I'll have to melt it. Yeah, so I think I'd only do four traders. I'd only do um, Mortarion, Fulgrim, Angron, and Magnus. And I think I'd do them all. I think I'd want to do them all post demonic. I think I'd do them all post demonic transformation. And I might do Perturabo. I kind of want to do Layman Russ just because, but I don't think I'd ever. He was never at Terra to fight, and so that kind of like that kind of breaks the thing for me. He wasn't with the Imperial Fist. I'd be bringing the Space Wolves to have as like that contingent that was with the Imperial Fist or the Blood Angels or the White Scars. Vulcan never leaves. Vulcan doesn't get. I'm trying to say it without spoiling things. Vulcan doesn't get there. Vulcan doesn't get to any of the fights, and I'm not doing salamanders anyway. Same for Iron Hands. I'm not doing Raven Guard. I'm not doing Ultramarine, so I don't need Raboot. And I don't need. Was that all of them? And for the traders, I just, Alfarius, just grab a regular Space Marine. Take a regular Space Marine, and there you go. That's Alfarius. And I think because I'm going for the Siege of Terror vibes, I think I'd go with the others. Now, here's an idea. Because the the big culmination of everything, right? The grand finale here is grand finale of the Horse Heresy is the Siege of Terra. And by that point, the Primarchs had become demon princes. Or several of them had become demon princes. Now, it is my firm belief that at some point we will get Siege of Terra as a book, and it will have demons and custodies in it. That could also be a good place to put Primarchs. Or at least wait to do Primarchs until you have demons. Because they may go with demon Primarchs. And if they're going to do that, then they'll want to do that with the rest of the demons. I do want primers though. As much as I think it might not, I think it's difficult to do, and I say difficult because I want them to do it. I want them to do it, but I do see challenges with it. So yeah, no, I'd really like demons and custodies to be in this game. I would, I would put down whatever I'm doing to pick up custodies and paint them, and it'd be easy because I paint them all gold, and then I don't know what I want the secondary color, what their cloaks to be. Um, I haven't looked into enough of the custodian lore to know, like, oh yeah, red cloaks meant this, and blue cloaks meant that, and green cloaks meant this, and yellow cloaks meant that. Um, so I kind of just go off of like, I kind of have to go off of like rule of cool, like what looks the coolest, but I really want to like have it also fit something that sounds cool or whatever. So I need to look into custodies a bit more. I don't have a lot of friends who do the custody stuff, so I don't really have a lot of um, people I can talk to about that. I haven't really talked to anybody about it yet, but yeah, custodies would be really cool. And then I'd also really like to have some amount of demons for the traders to use. I think a lot of things at this scale would look really cool as swarms, and swarms of demons would look really cool. I also think swarms of orcs would be cool. Um, Swarms of Tyranids, swarms of Tau, swarms. Because that's really how these battles, how 40K is fought is planets of people. Wow, I measure my army in planets. The game of 40K is not fought to that scale. That is a small chunk of a battle, and Epic gets to kind of live more to that theme. I want to see that on the tabletop. I said Epic. Legions Imperialis lives more to that theme. Epic would too, but it's hard to keep talking tactics when you're trying to focus on painting. But if anyone's got anything they want to ask about it or discuss or shift the topic towards, please by all means. When I said we'd be talking about tactics today, that was really I thought it would take longer to talk about the disparity between functions of the two armies I have on the table right now. I am. This is tile. How many are there? There's 18 road tiles. This is tile 16. And then there's the four plazas I have, which is not. I'm not doing this too because they don't have sidewalks, but they do have something that's the same color, so I do need to eventually do that. But they also have a big metal section that is near this, so I think I might need to. I don't know when I need to do what. I need to double check and look and see what my plan is. Got to review the plan of attack here. But yeah. So yeah, 16 of 18. One part I'm not looking forward to is eventually painting this part black, all all the way around. That is, there's 22 of these tiles. Each tile has four sides. That's 88 square feet, not square feet, 88 feet of whatever distance that is that I have to paint black for. Uh, that is a lot of paint right there alone. Not nearly as much as what I did for all these, but it's going to be a lot. Well, I think I'll give them a little bit of a dry brush. I don't think they need much more. Um, I just don't want to give them too much. I don't think they need like. Should I get that? That's a good angle. I think a little bit of a dry brush on them to hit the raised edges is pretty much it. Um, I don't think I'm gonna stipple them the way I did everything else. The way I did, this. I already did an oil wash on them. I could do an Agrax wash, especially for the gutters. I might do. I need to look at Typhon corrosion. Somebody was asking about that. I might spot Typhon corrosion around in there, just a little bit, not a whole lot, not everywhere. A little bit of spot check for it. I will paint the metal parts first before I do that wash, though. I'm thinking about doing a light Agrax wash on this part again, just to blend that down in a little bit more lightly, lightly this time. Not as heavy as I did last time. Not as completely soaked. And what I could do is do a little bit of agrax in some area. Like I can do it right here, right? And then right here, just kind of have a couple things. Oh, and I want to do. I'm going to put some painter's tape along the side, and I'll do the. I'll do what's it called road road lines. Yeah, I'll put road lines on it. Forget about that. Forget about that part. Comedy pedestrian crossing. Oh yeah, I was gonna do that. I was gonna do little things at the thing. Forgot about that. I need to do that still. Thank you for reminding me. I don't know how that's gonna work with the cracks there though. I just realized that. Oh, and the tank Xing. I'm gonna do that on one tile. One tile will be a tank Xing. And what I'll probably do, what I should probably do, is paint little tank tracks on it, like they're getting on and off. No, I won't do that. I'll just have it say tank Xing. Sure is a lot of dry brushing. Road signs. Well, those would be elevated, right? Ooh, that's a good point, though. How would I do that? When you say road signs, you mean like on the road, painted on the road, or like off to the side of the road, like a like a proper road sign? Yeah, I don't. I can't think of anything. All right, so white lines down the sides. How big are these things? Do I have a predator? I mean, a tank would go there, and a tank would go there. Yeah, and then they would never be able to cross properly because their sponsons would hit. It's like would just barely fit if they drive into the gutter. Okay, they barely fit. But they'd have to drive on the lines. So there's the white lines I can do on the sides, and then thicker lines going across like this for pedestrian crossings. And then a tank axing. I could do like a school zone or something, but I really don't know like any other road signs that would be painted on the road. Unless you got any ideas. And then for like road signs, I don't have a model for that. I imagine they'd be fairly small though. Yeah. I mean, I could probably make something. I'll figure it out. Maybe tank tracks is better. Yeah, tank axing. I remember tanks are much bigger than civilian vehicles, so the tanks don't need to watch exactly. Yeah, it's a good point. What's up? You can say hi.
Hi.
It's Crayola. Crayola's here, everyone. What's up?
That person's supposed to be here at 4:30.
Is he? Let me know. Road signs on the road: slow, stop, caution, yield. Yeah, I can do. Yeah. Those are good. I'll probably put some slow. I don't know about stop. I need to look at like a city. It's been a minute since I've been in a big city. I need to look at like a proper city and see like what are the city street. What do city streets look like? Actual signs would need to be removable. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. What I should do is if I put magnets in here in the right spots, I could then put like magnetized street signs that I could then pull out. And what I really need is I need to get the you know what? I could probably do like a 3-point thing, right? Do like this, and this, and then have it where like they connect, and then have the little lights hanging from it. Those things are actually huge. They don't look so big hanging up there. I mean, obviously, some are bigger than others, but some of them are massive. Traffic lights. He's here?
Mhm.
All right. Oh. All right, I got it. All right. So here we go, guys. Here's what's going to happen. I have someone here to look at my roof. So I got to get going. I have one more tile to do. And how that one looks is like this. So I will be doing this one. And then I will get to work on the next part of this, which I think is going to be the roads or the metal. It'll probably be the metallics. And I will get to wherever I get before next time, and then we will continue this next time. But the ideas are cool and all, but how much will you get done? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Finish painting your current terrain before adding more to your plate. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. So I will. There's a little bit more paint on here still. Yeah, I got a guy that's gonna look at the roof. So this will be it for today. I will have to continue this later, and we will. Hey, I'm gonna say Kale. How's it going? You're just in time to hit the thumbs up for me, and yeah. So we'll continue this next time, and can I? No, I can't. Yeah, so we'll continue this next time. Is there a way to? I can't give you guys that. Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll continue this next time, and I will. I'll have a battle report up for you guys this weekend. Thank you for flying by. This has been Eagle Spire Gaming.